All right, this video is going to be about the array command, and they work very similar to arrays in AutoCAD. We have linear arrays or a radial array. That's our only two choices in Revit. And you can start it off with the modify command, and it's this little icon right here. Or you can select your object and then go to it. Either way, it doesn't matter. So we're going to start the array command here. And now I have to select my object. And so I'm going to start with the linear. So I'm going to pick this chair right here and then enter spacebar to finish my selection. Okay, so up here in the array toolbar up here, here's where you choose either linear or radial. Okay, and we're going to keep it on linear. Now, group and associate, what that does is when you create the array, all of the new objects will be grouped together. And so if you select one to move it, it will move all of them. Okay, they're in a group. And that means that you cannot just edit one of them. And in future classes, you'll see where this comes into play when we're dealing with the structural floor system in the 1131 class. It's a good tool, but sometimes you want them to be grouped, sometimes you don't want them to be grouped. Okay, so in a linear array, the number here is the number of objects that you're going to have, including the original. Okay, so if I have a number 2 here and I execute this command, I will then have 2 chairs across the bottom. Okay, move to either second or last. And this is the distance, either the distance between objects, okay, or the total distance between the first and the last object. And the constraint is it constrains your movement to either horizontal or vertical. Okay, so let's go ahead and set this to 3, move to second, and we'll go constrain. All right, and so now it asks me to enter a start point. Okay, and it depends on your object and what you're doing. Okay, so you could use, the corner of the wall, or the corner of the chair, or the center of the chair. It just depends on what your object is. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the back of the center line, and I'm going to move it to the right. Now you see my distance is coming up here, and since I've got it set to move to second, I'm going to say 4 feet. And here we initially said 3 objects. Now I could change it, so I'm going to change it to 4 objects. Okay, and so that created me 4 objects across here. They're 4 feet apart. And I'll show you with my measure tool. See, they're 4 feet center to center. And because I had the group and associate checked, you can see here it shows they're in a model group or an array. Let's say I've done this and now I don't want 4 of them, I only want 3. So I could select that last one or any of them and come back in here and change my number. Okay. Now, if I want to disassociate it, okay, so I choose one of them and I come up here and I go ungroup. But now that one is now an individual object. Okay, the rest of them, whoops. Is still part of the group. Okay, so you can see my properties as individual object. Here, they're still part of that array group. Okay, and if I want to, if I want to deselect, take all of them, ungroup all of them, then I can just select all of them and do that. Okay, so now let's go back to here. And if I go last, and we'll go ahead and set it to 4 again. Now I have to choose a start point. So once again, I'll go ahead and click the center line there. And I'm going to go to the right, but I want to go 12 feet. And now it asks me, do I want 4 objects? Okay. All right, and so now it moved it. My total distance there was 12 feet. Okay, so that's my my linear array. Now the radial array will do things in a circular pattern. So let's do, and this is kind of common, you know, chairs around a table. So we'll change it here. Now here we have it. The number is the same. It's the number of objects that we're going to create, including the original. The move to is not a distance, but it's an angle. So if I go move to second, it would be the angle between the first and the second object. If I go last, it's the total angle. Okay. Now, center of rotation, it's just that. You can see my line here, and it's picking the center of the chair. Well, if I don't want that, if I want to rotate these around the table, I can click that center of rotation little dot and move it, or I can come up here and go place and then pick a new one. All right, and so now what I need to pick now is the starting ray, or the angle I'm going to start my copy on. And so I'm going to come up here, you know, straight up and click that. Now I can tell it the total angle that I want to copy. And in this case, you can drag it and click, and you see you get snaps every 45 degrees. Okay, so I'm going to go down to 180, or I could type in, you know, whatever the angle I want. Okay, and it's telling me I want 3 objects, which is what I picked out first. Okay. All right, so we'll start it again here. Polar array, or radial array. I want 4 objects. Pick my center, my first ray, and I want my angle between them to be 90 degrees and 4 objects. There we go. That worked the way I wanted it to work. Okay, so that's how a radial array works, right? And that's kind of common with chairs. You may various furniture objects. Another place where it comes in kind of handy is with plantings. Okay. We'll say 6 items last. And, oh, my center of rotation. I got out of sequence. Okay, so radial. I want to plant 6 of them. So I want my center of rotation to be here. Total angle. Let's give it 200 degrees. Okay. All right, and so there's how you might use it with plantings. Okay. Sorry, that got a little confusing with some of that stuff, but if you got, and as you can see, the array, sometimes the copy and the move command works best. Sometimes the array works best. It just depends on what you're doing. And you'll get practice with this, don't worry. If you got questions, send me an email or come see me.